Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So folks, I'm going to tell you something right now. It never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to amaze me. The NFL, once again, has been caught showing favoritism. Once again, the NFL has been caught by promoting something, promoting a team, a player, or rather, maybe not just a player, but some players ahead of others that are not deserving of it. Because if there's one thing that all football fans know, is that the NFL loves to play favorites. They have been guilty of doing this for years, even decades. They have done it with teams in the past, and they especially do it with players. It's a proven fact. And the NFL is unabashedly shameful in this sponsorship of both players and teams. That either, one, don't deserve it, or they place others lower compared to those who are actually better. And, you know, the thing of the matter is that when you have a player that is ranked lower than somebody who is a proven better commodity, or should be closer in, you know, whatever ranking or you know, viewpoint, whatever the case might be, it causes a problem. It shows that, once again, the NFL is not interested about providing a fair playing field for people. It's not interested about making sure that somebody or something, and I'm referring to a team, is given the fair shake that it's supposed to have. And again, this corporate sponsorship that the NFL constantly is guilty of committing at this point, it happens day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. They just do it and they don't care. That's why I said they're unabashedly shameful in it. They just don't care. But the point of the matter is that I do care. And I know that a lot of regular fans care. And I know that for Lions fans, they should definitely care about this. Because it's against one of our own players that they're doing it against. And for me, it's like, you know, some people might be like, well, David, you're just shouting into the wind here. I don't care. The point of the matter is that someone has to say it. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to call the NFL out on their bull crap and say, listen, this is not acceptable. You're pissing people off with this crap. You need to actually be fair in how you represent people and how you project them and how you show whether or not they're good or not good. And that's why I said the NFL is guilty of this yet again against the Lions by, once again, overlooking not only the production that the player in question has been, putting out, but also overlooking the circumstances behind the production that the player has had and why those circumstances should elevate that player in relation to the peers that are on, this particular talking point. So who is the player that I'm referring to? The player that I'm referring to should not surprise anybody. It's quarterback Jared Goff. I know, I talk about Goff quite a lot. I know, I'm a fan of Goff. I'm a big fan of him. But let me put it out there for you. When it is clearly as evident as I'm about to present that the NFL has once again played favorites, you cannot tell me for a single moment that the NFL has not once again said, hey, you know what? We don't care what a Lions player is doing, no matter how well they're doing. we're still not going to give them the recognition versus other people who have not deserved it or are not as earning of it. They may deserve it, but they're not as earning of it. Because let's understand something here. Jared Goff is consistently one of those players who either does not get the praise that he is owed, like running back, David Montgomery had said about him formerly in an interview, saying that, listen, Jared Goff does not get the credit that he has earned and that he deserves. Or on the flip side of that point, Jared Goff will get more blame than what he's actually privy to or part of. That's the problem with Goff. Either he never gets the credit that he's earned, or he gets more blame than what he's actually causing. And let me show you exactly what I mean here. We all know every freaking week that the NFL loves to put out their power rankings. They do it for teams, and they do it for quarterbacks. I decided to take a look at this week's particular power ranking, just on, case of curiosity, whatever. And I took a look at it. And I could not believe what I was seeing after I'd actually taken a look at it for longer than just a quick glance through. Because what I actually did is I went through and I checked not only this current week, which is week 10, but I went back and I checked every single week up until the beginning of the season. And I noticed a very, very interesting pattern here. Let me show you exactly what I mean here. First and foremost, where is Jared Goff ranked right now in terms of the power rankings? He's ranked 12th out of all quarterbacks. That's ridiculously low. Jared Goff should not be ranked lower, in my opinion, than 8 or 7. I don't give a damn what anyone thinks. But think about this. If you take a look at the 11 other guys that are in front of him, of which there are several guys that, should be there. Guys like, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, just to name a few. Drake May has obviously done very well this year, and a couple of others that have done really, really well. But there are 3 guys that I noticed that were in front of Jared Goff, and I instantaneously was like, this is absolute bullcrap. The 3 guys that are in front of Goff that I could not understand, number one, why they're in front of Goff right now this week, but also how they've gotten to where they are, I just absolutely couldn't understand it, was Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Daniel Jones. So Mahomes, Lamar, and Jones, okay? Let me put something up here for you guys. I did this on a spreadsheet. You're going to notice something here. Jared Goff, from week 1 all the way to week 10, is consistently either in the upper part of the 10 region, so like 14 to 10, or he is in the lower part of the 5 to 10 region. He never goes higher than 6, and he's never gone lower than 14. That to me is a bit of a problem, considering the fact that Jared Goff over the last, 2-3 years has been the most statistically productive quarterback out of any quarterback in the NFL. Yards, passing touchdowns, wins. I mean, the guy has just done it all. The only thing he hasn't done is won a Super Bowl, which I know that plays a factor into the subjective part of this, but it shouldn't. But when you take a look at Mahomes, Lamar, and you take a look at Daniel Jones, you get a rather interesting picture. Mahomes has never fallen out of the top 5 at any point during the season. Yeah, I know for a fact that Mahomes has not played like a top 5 quarterback all throughout the course of the season. Not a chance in hell. Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, while he has played at that level, statistically, the rest of the team has not, just like Mahomes early on did not with the rest of the team. But then notice from week 6 to week 9, when he was out with injury, he's not on the list at all. But then all of a sudden, because he has that great performance against the Miami Dolphins that are an absolute trash-ass team, he instantaneously jumps from being not on the list to back up to number 7. That's interesting. And then you notice with Jones, he starts off at the very bottom of the list, and now he's literally ranked in the same tier as Goff, pretty much. And it's like, wait a minute here, back the hell up. I get it, Daniel Jones has had a great year, but is he on Goff's level? Not even close. Not even close. So, when you take a look at all that, it just doesn't look right at all. But when you take a look more specifically at each one, it gets even worse. Like I said, Mahomes never drops out of the top 5, despite the fact that at one point the Chiefs were 2-3. And then furthermore, heading into that game against the Lions that, Mahomes and the Chiefs played against Goff and us, his numbers were merely human overall compared to where Goff and his numbers were. Yet, Mahomes was ranked 7 spots higher than Goff was in that week. Because that was week 5, right? So Goff was ranked 9th that week. Mahomes was ranked 2nd. But yet, Mahomes, I think at that point had like a 93 passer rating, was only completing like 63% of his passes. But yet, supposedly to the guy that made this list, Nick Shook, he was the second best quarterback in the entirety of the NFL. Yeah, that makes no damn sense in my opinion. Especially considering the fact that the Lions were 4-1 at that point, and the Chiefs were 2-3. So that doesn't make any sense. You then move to the next quarterback, which is obviously Lamar Jackson. And you start getting into that nonsense. In the case of Lamar Jackson, the injustice and disrespect there is also, again, very much the same way that it kind of is with, where Mahomes was. Because pretty much until Lamar left with injury, he was pretty much the linchpin that was kind of keeping that team afloat, much like Mahomes was with the Chiefs. And they were trying to get through the storm and do whatever, and then obviously he got injured. But what makes Lamar's case a little bit more infuriating, in my opinion, is that for a whole month the guy doesn't play. He's not up on the list. He's not suiting up. He's not doing anything. But yet this guy comes out and has a 4-touchdown performance against arguably one of the worst teams in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins. And then all of a sudden he goes from being not on the list for a month to back up to number 7. Like, how does that even make sense? It's like, I get it, Lamar Jackson's a great player. One of the best quarterbacks in the league. I get it. But you don't go from being not on the list for a whole month and then all of a sudden you just jump right back up to number 7. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. If Goff wasn't on the list for a whole month and then had the performance like what, Lamar had, there's no way that would have happened. No way in hell. That is the injustice of it all. That's the unfair part of it. Is that if the shoe was on the other foot, it would not at all match. And again, I know that for a lot of people, they're going to be like, well, what's your point here, David? My point here is that you cannot justify, whether it's with Mahomes and the fact, oh, you know what, he's, considered the best quarterback in the NFL, he's won all these Super Bowls, been to the AFC Championship 7 times, whatever, or Lamar Jackson, he's won multiple MVPs, he's considered just an absolute freakazoid in terms of his physical ability. It's like, listen, that's all subjective. There is a place for subjective reasoning and stuff like this, but you can't include everything else that they've done prior to this season and say, oh, well, that's a justification as to why that player gets that spot. No, sir. It should be based solely on what is happening within the totality of the season that is going on and within the weeks that are being played. Not just, oh, well, you know what? We know Lamar is a great quarterback. He automatically gets a top 10, top 5 spot just right off the bat. Same thing with Mahomes. It's like, no, they actually have to show it. They actually have to earn it. They actually have to be in that spot to earn it. And that's my problem. Because to me, when you take a look at how the Ravens and how the Chiefs were for the start of the season, both of those teams were floundering like a catfish out of water. And to me, it's like, and I know some Lions fans might look at it and be like, well, why is that the case? Why would they do that? As Sherlock Holmes would say, it's elementary, my dear Lions fans. It's the sickening, corrupt NFL sponsorship. Lamar doesn't get it quite as much as Mahomes does, but they both are sponsored because that's what the NFL wants. They want their stars to be always put in the spotlight, and they always want them to be ranked great. Because as soon as they don't, then they're going to start having to look elsewhere to fill that void, and they don't want to do that right now. So again, to me, it's like, wait a minute here. Jared Goff has played either at the same level or better than those guys, has had to go through the exact same thing now, like what the Ravens and the Chiefs had to do early on, and yet Goff is not getting the same fair shake as what those two guys have. That's a big problem in my book. But then you take a look at the last guy we're going to talk about here, which is obviously Daniel Jones. Now, Daniel Jones, in my opinion, even though he's been playing absolutely well for the majority of this season, he's probably the worst affront on this list for Jared Goff. How in the hell is Daniel Jones ranked at number 11 despite having an absolute ass-terrible game against the Steelers? Because, again, don't get me wrong, Jones has had an impressive bounce-back season after his massive fallout with the Giants. But the ranking of him directly in front of Goff is a total insult, not only in terms of the literal performance that he had against the Steelers, but also in terms of the subjective measure of looking at the entire season thus far. And that tendency remains with the other two quarterbacks that I'm talking about. There is more of an approach to put the subjective in front of the actual literal performances here. Because let's call it for what it is here. The subjective rankings are coming from stuff that's happening outside of the season, not inside of it. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by this. Let's consider this. Take a look at Jared Goff's stats for 2025, folks, okay? Jared Goff is second highest in completion percentage. He's got the 13th most passing yards, the 6th highest pass average per throw, tied 4th in passing touchdowns, ranked 3rd in pass touchdown percentage, tied 4th in interceptions, tied 5th in interception percentage rate per throw, and 3rd in passer rating, right? I'm going to tell you something right now. I decided to do a little research here. I took a look at every single quarterback that was ranked in front of Jared Goff for Week 10, right? So I then said, okay, how do they stack up statistically versus Jared Goff at this point in the season? Here's what I noticed. If you take a look at the entire season of those statistics and then you stack them up against the other 11 quarterbacks that are in front of Jared Goff, you want to know how the percentage of the time that Jared Goff is outperforming or has tied over the course of the season in terms of the season statistics right now to the contemporaries that are in front of him? I'm going to put this up on the screen. You're going to get a really interesting viewpoint. According to my numbers, which I double-checked twice, Jared Goff on a total level has outperformed or tied the contemporaries that are in front of him over the course of the season in terms of where their overall season stats are right now, 72.7% of the time. So 72.7% of the time, Jared Goff's stats in terms of passing yards, completion percentage, pass average, touchdowns, interceptions, rating, the whole 9 yards, is better than the guys that are in front of him on this list. 72.7% of the time. Yet, somehow, Jared Goff at this point is ranked number 12 on this list. Please explain to me how Jared Goff's statistics right now are better than the 11 guys in front of him 72.7% of the time, yet he's ranked 12th. That didn't make any damn sense to me. Didn't make any damn sense at all. And then I thought, well, wait a minute here. Let's move on to just Week 10. You know what? Forget the whole season. Let's just move on to Week 10. Because I then decided to say, well, where did that look? What does that look like? Well, let's take a look at Jared Goff's stats for Week 10, right? Or Week 9. Pardon me, because we're in Week 10 right now. So for Week 9, we played the Vikings. Goff was 25 of 37, 67.6 completion percentage rate, 284 yards, 7.7 in average to throw, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, with 108.4 passer rating. Okay. So then I said, again, let's take a look at all 11 quarterbacks. Let's take a look at where their statistics were in that one particular week, how they performed in the games that they played, and let's go from there. Now, for that particular one, it gets a little bit more interesting. And the reason why it gets a little bit more interesting is because for that one, you only had 10 guys that were playing. Because, okay, yeah, you had those 12 guys that are out, you have those 12 guys that I'm talking about, which include Goff. But 2 of those guys were not playing, I believe, last week. I could be wrong. I'm trying to take a look at my notes here really quickly. But the point of the matter is that when you take a look at the numbers, the 2 guys that didn't play last week, if I recall correctly, were Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield, who are in front of Goff on the list. When you then take a look at the numbers, again, you're going to see that Jared Goff vastly outperforms his contemporaries by, again, a wide margin. A wide margin. So it's like, okay here. Not only is Goff over the course of the season statistically outperforming his contemporaries by a wide margin, but then also last week, even though Goff and the Lions lost, he still outperformed those contemporaries by a wide margin. So I'm like, okay here. Statistically, he's been doing it better for the course of the season. Statistically, he even did it last week. So again, how in the hell is Jared Goff ranked 12th and you've got 11 guys in front of him, even though he played well last week? And again, part of that is that the NFL, like I said, is trying to promote guys for revenue, such as Mahomes, such as Lamar, such as Allen. I don't have anything against Allen because Allen's been playing, again, like an MVP this year. But consider this, like I said, those 10 quarterbacks that played, those 10 quarterbacks, I then counted up and I said, wait a minute here. How many of them actually won and lost? Because like I said, 2 of them did not play that were in front of Goff. That was Hurts and Baker Mayfield, right? Well, out of the 10 quarterbacks that you know that were remaining, so think about this. Think about this. Only 3 of them lost of those 10 quarterbacks, which obviously we know Goff was one, Mahomes we know was another, and Jones was the third. So, I then decided to take a look at this. Who fell out of those 3 guys that lost in terms of where they were in respect to the previous week to this week? Wouldn't you know it, Goff didn't fall on the list, but he stayed exactly where he was the previous week at 12. Mahomes dropped 1 measly spot. Jones, on the other hand, dropped 4 spots. And I was like, wait a minute here, back up. I mean, I don't follow the Chiefs as well as I should, nor the Colts at all. But I'm like, if I recall correctly, both of those games, the Colts and the Chiefs, they absolutely played like ass on offense. Because when I took a look at it, the reason why that's important is because Goff in his game ran absolute laps around Mahomes and Jones in their games. Again, I'm going to put the stats back up that what Goff had in his Week 9 game against the Vikings. 108.4 pass rating, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, almost 68 completion percentage rate, and 285 yards in essence. That was just Goff by himself. Now, take a look at what Jones and Mahomes did combined. I combined both of their statistics to try and tell you how bad they played. When they are combined together with what they did in their performances against the Steelers and the Bills, they completed 54.8% of their passes together for just a smidge under 600 yards, for 7 an average a throw, 1 touchdown to 4 picks for a 61.2 passer rating. Think about that. Both of those two are in front of Jared Goff, but yet both of those guys played absolutely atrociously bad games. But yet somehow Jones is still in front of Goff, even though Goff played a substantially better game last week. And Mahomes is still ranked number 2, even though Goff played a substantially much better game than he did last week. So I'm like, okay here. Not only do the statistics prove it over the course of the season, not only do the statistics prove it over the course of Week 10 against all the rest of the guys that played, but then on top of that, when you compare the other 2 guys that lost the same week that Goff did, Goff out just absolutely runs laps around them statistically. So I'm like, there's no reason Goff should be ranked this low. And then I thought about this. I was like, could this possibly be more of a reflection on the offense as a total rather than Goff? And I'm like, if that's the case, then Mahomes and also Jones should have fallen. Because think about it. Mahomes and the Chiefs offense in Week 10 didn't do very well. Week 9 didn't do very well. And again, Mahomes only dropped once. He was sacked 3 times. Jones and the Colts offense didn't do very well against the Steelers. Jones was sacked 5 times, just like Goff. Didn't do very well. And though he dropped 4 spots, he's still in front of Jared Goff. That, again, there's no way you can look at this without saying this literally makes no damn sense. It's disrespectful because not only, one, does it insult the intelligence factor that somebody like me that actually put the time into, put this all together and present it to you guys is, but it's like just from a logical perspective, it makes no damn sense. It's like I said, the NFL is playing favorites again, and they are wanting to do corporate sponsorship to make money any way they possibly can. And the way they're looking at it is that Goff apparently does not make them as much money as guys like Lamar or Mahomes or other guys. But the fact that they think Daniel Jones is doing better than Jared Goff, that to me is just absolutely loony bin. It's like, dude, Daniel Jones is having a great season. But if you're going to actually do the actual comparative analysis of not only the course of the week that just happened, but over the entire course of the season, the only thing that Daniel Jones really has more of at this point is really passing yards. His pass completion percentage is not really better than Jared Goff's. So efficiency-wise, Goff is playing on the same level. So really, all it comes down to with Daniel Jones is more volume, less efficiency. And I would think for most quarterbacks, they would prefer to have more efficiency than volume. Just saying. But that's my whole point with this episode. And I was just like, dude, again, this is the NFL once again just continuing to disrespect the Lions by disrespecting some of their best players. In this case, Jared Goff. And it's like the more you disrespect this team, the worse it is going to be for you once we finally hit our groove. Which I'm telling you, I think it's about to happen. Y'all might think I'm crazy or loony, but I'm telling you, I think it's about to happen. But anyway, folks, I've come to the end of this episode, so I'm going to end it and say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoyed the content and you had not yet subscribed, I hope to gain your subscription if you enjoyed it. And having said that, if you subscribed in the past, forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and not yet had a chance to do so just yet, make sure you also hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Hope y'all are doing well and got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.